Okay, so I thought I would do a video just because I have been surrounded by the new Taylor Swift album, and honestly, I don't have anything to nice to say about that album. So instead, I watched a show called The Way Home. I know, I'm blacking out. I was too caught up thinking about the Taylor Swift album, The Life of a Showgirl. Anyways, so The Way Home, it is on Netflix. I'm looking at Amazon right now because it's on Prime. Well, season 3 is through Hallmark Plus. But I wanted to kind of talk about a moment, I think, for Hallmark that they should absolutely capitalize and take on. And I've kind of noticed that they have been going through a bit of a rebrand, I guess you could say, since they got a new CEO. So The Way Home, I was trying to look, and being on top five, like those are the things that I'm always curious about, like what people are watching. So today, as I'm recording, this is like later in October, it's number 10. But still, that's pretty good. It was recently added, and I just loved season 1. I'm going to only talk about season 1. I did finish season 2, but I'm only going to talk about season 1. That is kind of what gets you to watch and want to watch the rest of the show. And I'll talk about season 2 and 3 later. I'm currently watching season 3 right now in the middle of it. But season 1, there's 3 generations of Landry women. Dell, Kat, Alice. 2 major traumas kind of fracture their family, with Kat's younger brother Jacob disappearing and their father Colton later died kind of under mysterious circumstances. Alice discovers the pond on the Landry farm, and it's a portal through time. And she and Kat begin to travel to the past, and they try to piece together what really happened and like how to heal their relationships. This is still very much Hallmark wholesome, I would say, on a sense. There were some things that I did see. I believe I can say it in season 1 that I was like, this is a little bit. Maybe it was season 2. I can't remember, but it was giving more like, oh, spice. I mean, obviously it's still Hallmark, but I was like, this is not, your family friendly Hallmark there for a hot second. But this show, the way that it's written, the plot, the relationships, that's like what it's about, is a young woman, her and her mom, and then her grandma's there. There's 3 generations of women that you're kind of watching, and then to see Alice, the teenage daughter, go back in time, see her be best friends basically with her mom. It is a little weird. There is a plot line where I was like, this is kind of turning Twilight on me, where she kind of falls in love with someone from her mom's time. And I'm like, are we really going to romanticize an age gap? But during the time, they're the same. I guess they're kind of the same age. She's not even supposed to be existing, yet, or even born. That was where I was like, I don't know how I feel about that. But because then they have to navigate that plot line later. So that was something where I was a little bit iffy on. The show is I would say it's engaging. And the time period that she does go back to is 1999. And she tries to figure out the events leading up to Jacob's disappearance. So would be her uncle, but that's her mom's brother, and he disappeared when he was really young. And again, she's jumping into this pond. It takes her back in time, and so she's bonding with family members that have either thought to have died or have died. So you're kind of watching that unfold, the emotions, and it is really beautiful because it is kind of like a reflection for me, I guess, when I'm thinking about it. Like, if you could go back in time and spend time, with your grandparents when they were younger, when to see your grandparents when they were raising, your mom or your dad, I think that would be a really cool experience. And also just to see your grandparents, just to see that side of our grandparents. It would be a different side. And I really liked kind of Alice spending time, with her grandpa, spending time with Jacob, and seeing her mom, because her and her mom in present time in season 1, they're not having the greatest relationship. And, when it comes to understanding, trying to see eye to eye, things like that, there's a lot of miscommunications and misunderstandings. But when Alice goes back in time to spend time with Teen Cat, it's like that all goes away, and she starts to understand her mom in present time more, and starts to why she is the way she is, and why her grandma is also the way she is. It is really beautiful. One of the things that people might go crazy over, and I follow along and I'm looking for Easter eggs, and I'm trying to, see through logic as well. But I think one of the things that people might be like, oh, I don't know if this is right, is kind of the time travel, how they do time travel. Because Alice does tell a lot to younger Elliot, who's a character in this. He's Kat's best friend at the time. He really likes her as well. And Kat ends up getting with not him, with Alice's, future dad, whatever we want to call it, future father. And so Alice kind of spoils a lot for Elliot and his future, while also interacting with him back when she goes back to the present. So it is a really interesting way that they do time travel and the way that they explore it. And one of the things that I think that show does touch on with their time travel and how it is because I've seen other shows do it, and it's like you don't reveal anything about the future. Otherwise, people try to do things so the bad things in the future can be avoided, or the negative things, or whatever, however those are perceived, so they can be avoided. But in this show, it kind of ends up being like fate, like it's going to happen, kind of. You really know it or not. And things do happen. They do kind of see it through, but then things change in a sense. So the way that this show does time travel, it's kind of like they think they know how they can avoid it, but they still don't really avoid it. Or they play with time travel as if they have already time traveled before, if that makes sense. So it's confusing. This show does time travel kind of like I've never seen time travel done before, and the way that they explain it and how it's executed on, because it's like, I think in one of them, with her Kat's dad dying, Alice's grandpa, it's like they were there, and they were the ones that caused his death because of their time traveling. So it's like the time traveling knew the time traveling that they were gonna call, like, play a part or something in the death of her father. It's kind of confusing. Like I said, I've never seen time traveling done this way, because it's like you have to know that the cause of his death was the time traveling, because they did that. So that's what was interesting to me as well. It's like they've already time traveled in a sense, and that's why things are happening. I don't know. It kind of confuses me. So Alice, Kat, they can both, use the pond to back to the past. And through these trips, there's a lot of secrets that emerge, obviously. And that's probably the most fascinating thing about the show, is these characters are reliving the past. And then Alice is living through it as if she's never lived through this before. She's seeing, her grandparents, everyone younger. Her mom is seeing it kind of through a different lens, and, with maturity more so, and probably more understanding. The season finale in season 1 is that Jacob had followed a stray dog to the pond in 99 and was transported all the way back to 1814, meaning he's been in the distant past for decades. So everyone kind of thought he went missing, and he did go missing, but he didn't die. He fell into the pond and was transported. So it's kind of suggested that the Landrys, like blood Landrys, are the only ones that can time travel. And like they are the only ones that can really use the pond's powers. I do want to talk about Hallmark rebrand or whatever this means for Hallmark. I hope this gets people to pay attention because on Netflix it is in the top 10 and it gets them to pay attention. And I hope Hallmark also capitalizes on this. I thought Hallmark was known for some silly little shows or for Christmas in July and their Christmas movies because that's what they're known for. And I hope this show changes that because people are paying attention to the show. They're watching, and I hope Hallmark does not miss a beat in this with marketing, with everything, because this can prove we can make a good, well-rounded show. We have a good, well-rounded cast. Covers 3 generations. You can pull in the younger, pull in a little bit older demographic as well, and it's a great show. There are moments in it where it pushes the boundaries kind of Hallmark with some of scenes I have noticed have been a little bit more steamy, and I'm like, ooh, this is Hallmark. That is so important because when you think of Hallmark, I think some of the first things I think of are copy paste Christmas movies. Change and tweak a little things here, but other than that, you're copy pasting posters with people. I'm also thinking about the cheesy movies again, cheesy endings, and also some of the shows. I probably think of When Calls the Heart. But if you can change the perspective that people have on Hallmark in general, and this show does, it proves that they can make good scripted series. And we like good scripted series. That's what we want. That's also great for Hallmark and to change what people are thinking. And if they are willing to have, again, in The Way Home, they don't make it a point that her dad's Indian and her mom's white. They don't make it a point, and they don't make a point about her ethnicity or anything. I would say somewhat diverse casting right there. And that, I think, opens up the doors and the opportunities for Hallmark to tell other stories if they choose to do so, as so far they have, versus Great American Family, which that CEO left because he couldn't do what he wanted to do and push his conservative agenda. That's a whole other topic. But I think what Hallmark is doing right is with this show, and that's a good start. When I was watching Hallmark, I watched it mainly for Good Witch. That show was on for like 7-ish, 8-ish seasons. I can't remember exactly. Bailey Madison was on it, and it was just really good. Very wholesome, more wholesome than The Way Home. But I just loved actors in it and just kind of the storylines in it. It's kind of being a small town. It was cheesy and hokey at times, but I think what made it great was just that it wasn't trying to be too much, and it wasn't like complex, and I'm having to think and see all these Easter eggs everywhere either. But it was just, simple. It was good. It was an easy watch. The Way Home, you really got to pay attention. It's kind of makes me feel like I'm watching, something from HBO where I'm like, I got to pay attention. There's a clue. There's an Easter egg here. Something like that. Hallmark deserves their flowers for this, but they should definitely capitalize, and it proves that they can make good scripted series and they don't need to rely on all these other past formulas that they've had. They can move in a new direction. And I think that's what they were trying to do with this one. And I think they landed it. I think they nailed it.